Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of MoloMolo Tech Talks. My name is Anele and my co-host is Dr. PK. It's so good
Hello.
to Hey, it's so good to see you again.
Yeah, man, amazing to
Virtually
be here.
so, as well as to just engage with some of our incredible audience. Today we'll be talking about something incredibly fascinating, but also just something so necessary for this time of the year, right? We know that there's all kinds of burnouts, and I think a lot of us are feeling tired. We're feeling a bit confused. We're ready for the festive season to begin. I think for me, by the 15th of November, I was already like, you
Is
know
it?
what? When is Christmas?
I hear you. I hear
When is
you.
Christmas? And I think what makes, besides the nuances of work and profession, what makes burnouts even more intense in 2025 and I think going onwards is the addition of something that is supposed to make our lives a bit easier, to bring more operational efficiencies, and that's artificial intelligence, right? And I think it's there so that it can bring operational efficiency. But how do we then manage the what we are seeing and what we cannot foresee in terms of the human and the technology and the well-being of a person who's in a leadership position, right? So
Yeah.
when we talk about AI and burnouts, I think what we want to explore today is how is it that leaders burn out so much and so fast, but also there are so many hidden pressures in terms of always having to learn, always having to know what's happening. I know there's always an ad that goes out on social media about, if you are over 40, you should learn these AI tricks. If
That's
you are
me.
not
That's
learning
me.
these,
They're speaking to me. It's like, hey, my friend, you are staying behind.
you are left behind. And if you are left behind, I mean, that adds a lot of pressure, right? In
Yeah.
leadership. And we all know that in leadership there's already a lot of pressure. So how do we actually lead in the age of AI, and how do we actually start to navigate around that, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do we keep it realistic? How do we keep the pace realistic? How do we manage the always having to be on, whether it's online because now, efficiencies, or whether it's always having to um, learn new skills just to keep up. I want to ask you, Dr. PK, what is it about AI in your leadership journey and experience right now that you feel is quite significant? Whether it's in terms of how you lead
Yeah.
teams or operational efficiencies, how do you feel AI contributes to your life as a leader, and do you feel that it can burn you out?
That's a very interesting question because of course from the lens of kind of what causes one to burn out in the first place as a leader is the inability to oftentimes to delegate.
Sure.
You are micromanaging. Not only are you accountable for the work that you have to do, but you feel somehow responsible to also do that work. And I think the AI definitely brings an element of surprise as a leader, mainly,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you understand what causes one to burn out in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
I think leaders who are very, I think, let me take an example. I think for me, one of the key things for me as a leader is self awareness, right? You've got to be, I've got to be self aware all the time. My tone, my what I focus on delegating or not, and also what I focus on what targets do I want my team to have, and what AI, if you're aware of those things, what AI does, it's a multiplier, right? I always see AI as a multiplier, either a multiplier of good things or a multiplier of bad things. So I do think burnout can be avoided a lot easier with AI when you understand how you're able to leverage AI in delegation.
Sure.
And things like, for example, the ability to review someone's work using AI is a way of delegating that important responsibility of review through a filter that you've trained, which is your AI
Mm,
agent. That is
mm,
incredibly powerful as a leader to be able to really give a very quick feedback on things like errors in code
yeah,
or things like, hey, you've missed a title, but you didn't really have to read the whole document. You just, put that document through your AI agent, which is trained and allowed you to really give that first feedback.
yeah,
That's delegation. So,
yeah,
on the other hand, on the other hand, is when if you're not aware of what you should be doing to avoid burnout, and you apply AI on everything,
mm,
and all of a sudden you feel like you have the power to be in every situation, in every single decision making, because you have an AI agent. All of a sudden, your AI agent is forcing you to consistently feel like you need to be in the loop in everything.
sure,
And that
sure.
is an accelerator to burnout, because you still need to make a decision. AI cannot make a decision for you. It's just giving you a lot more information more often. And all of a
Mm.
sudden your burnout is accelerated. So I see it in both ways. And I think it starts off with just understanding what burnout means to you as a leader.
Yeah, and I think I agree with you in the sense that, AI is there to increase our operational efficiency, especially on the positives. I
Yeah.
think for me, on my leadership journey, I find that on the other end, I really do still appreciate critical thinking. And I still
Hmm.
think critical thinking, especially with my team in team management, is one of those things that's very, very important. And I often ask myself, how many hours of thinking time do we block out in the day in the age of artificial intelligence? And what does that do to our mental health in terms of processing information, but also in terms of being in control of your own thoughts, but also just being able to take ownership of your own ideas
Hmm.
and then use AI to kind of assist you. So I find that with leadership and what can burn us out sometimes is this overuse of this other agents that can think for us, but it is also an energizing experience to think for yourself. And I think we're losing touch of that because there's so much access, right? I
Mm.
discovered yesterday on a personal level that I can actually talk to my chat GPT via voice, which changes everything when I now prompt in anything that I want to talk about. It's like I literally have it just changes everything. It's like I have this human being in my phone, but what happens to my critical thinking? On a typical day, I will set 3 hours of thinking time, no meetings, just thinking, no calls. What happens to that in leadership? And can we still energize ourselves with our own fresh ideas? For me, it's the overuse and the over reliance
Hmm.
on AI that also distances us, I think, in a way from our teams and the human level. Oftentimes, everyone has their different roles and what they can play, but how do you, as a leader, if you are sitting in an executive role, for example, how do you regain control of having AI involved in your work and in the things that you do, especially when it comes to team management? So, for example, if I were to look at how I would look at my team, I would want to, for example, look at having a technical expert, someone who can operate the AI, and then me having myself as a human leader so that we can still bring in some of those human leadership aspects that we spoke about, I think, 2 weeks ago when we speak
Hmm.
about those
Yeah.
soft skills that we still need, whether it's just, yeah, in professionalism and in leadership. So, I think there's a lot, but there's also the need to protect the thinking, right? To
Mm.
protect our ideas. And I think that can just lead to a lot of burnouts. There's too much access to information. All the answers are out there. What control do we have in terms of our purpose and our mission, which is much bigger than just coming up with answers, right? It's
Yeah.
also leading teams. It's making sure that we implement values
Yeah.
which look different in a machine operated world. um, yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. I think it's important definitely distinguish what values should you hold on to as a leader.
Yeah. Yeah. And also to not
Yeah.
have, oh, sorry, you can go.
No,
Keep
no,
going.
no. I basically saying that I think it's all of that really boils down to, what do you understand makes you valuable as a leader, and as long as you are able to understand that, then you're able to understand or slowly understand where AI fits in amplifying those values or completely degrading them, for sure.
Mm. I also think there's a lot that happens, in your leadership journey. All the information is out there, right?
Hmm.
But can we also replace this constant learning culture that we are now in, right?
Yeah.
It's just a huge overload on our brains. Which is back to the adverts, these are 15 AI skills you should learn. There's just a lot of over learning.
Yeah.
But how about we also focus on what we need to learn now and
Hmm.
then use AI to help us flesh that out instead of learning all the time? Because I think also that overload of all the different apps and the technologies and the efficiencies and the overlaps can also cause some burnouts. And I think a lot of frustration as well, because again, here's a technology that's supposed to be creating efficiencies is now creating frustrations. And
Yes.
now, Exco is angry that there are 50,000 solutions for, a few things. So I think understanding the problem that you have, maybe as
Hmm.
a team in the project, and then knowing exactly and pacing yourself on learning and giving yourself time to learn new AIs so that you can then solve for that problem. But this constant learning, I'm learning ChatGPT, then I'm learning this, and I'm learning that, then now
Yeah.
Canva's now inside. It's quite overwhelming, and I still have to do it.
Ah, you do have to do it.
Yeah, and I still have to monitor it, right? Because now there's
Yes,
policy for AI, and I need
exactly.
to understand what that policy, how that policy filters down from the top. A lot
Mm,
of companies are creating AI policy and use and frameworks.
yes.
So I think it's a very important discussion. That's why I was saying earlier. I think we're going to be having more of this discussion next year because we've got leadership at a human level. Then
Mhm.
we've got AI, then we've got our, companies that we need to drive and meet our purpose. But how do we bring everything in without replacing that human touch that sometimes energizes us? Sitting in a brainstorming session with your team is really energizing. The
Yeah.
fresh thoughts, putting a board in there and writing around. But if I can do that in 1 minute over ChatGPT, then I don't know if there's much value and if I can even recognize my team members for their thinking as well. So thinking for me is still very important, and it's an energizing activity that I feel if it's replaced by AI and this constant, it can really be dialed down and can lead to burnouts.
No, I agree. I think it's I have a theory in terms of just the evolution of kind of social interactions over the last few decades. And if you think about it, 25, maybe 20 years ago, let me not say 25. Yeah, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, you had the birth of, Google, Facebook, and our ability to, and I've got a couple of stories, so there was, let me tell you the story, and I'll be short. But so 15, 20 years ago, I was yeah, 25 years ago. Yeah, I'm gonna tell my age. Anyway, I'm 42. It's fine. It's fine. I was on campus, right? 20 odd years ago. And I remember this story very distinctly because I don't know if you're old enough to know that there was an online platform that allowed you to SMS people, to send MMSs and SMSs. I think you're too young to remember this.
Oh, I just missed this. What was it called?
Oh, I don't know. It. The please call me in South Africa. There's a please call me. Star something
Okay.
something hash.
Okay.
But there was another one where you could send a message for free, going on a website, send someone a message, and then they receive it, but you don't have a reply because you sent it
Yeah.
via a website. Okay. So, so, so I knew this guy who liked this girl, and without fail, every single day, this guy will send this girl a message on that platform and will never get a reply. And then, so we will always ask him, but why don't you just tell the girl the same message face to face? He's like, no, man.
Yeah.
That thing is the clever thing. It's clever. So it does it whenever it needs to do it. So I don't have to interact with the right? Because of course, whatever fears you have, you don't know if she's gonna like you or
Yeah.
not. And
Yeah.
that story sticks with me till today because that's essentially what AI has done. It has played into our fears of interaction. It has played into our fears of having to deal with yourself as people see you. And and because of that, all sorts of social interactions are now shallow. Marriages are shallow. Friendships are shallow. Church relationships are shallow. And all of a sudden, people have replaced it with something that supposedly is okay because they still get that dopamine effect of, oh no, somebody's listening to me. And that's essentially what
Mm.
AI is. It's a replacer
Yeah.
of a social interaction that you should have had
Sure.
with a human being.
Sure.
And that has started as simple as kind of sending a text message to somebody random that you never get a reply is the
Yeah.
same concept with AI today, where you're just chatting with someone who you will never see in person and have that human interaction with.
That is
So
so wild. Yeah.
I just thought I should share that thought process because I do think without having that realization of this is what's happening, then you will just be a victim. You will. You will just be a victim. And without the critical thinking, not so much of protecting your ideas, but even if you are using AI to get more ideas, understand that it's still just not a human being giving you those ideas. Because ideas doesn't come just from text, comes from body language, comes from the confidence of how they've been portrayed, comes with the also the imprecision on how they've been developed.
Sure.
All of those build the ideas or your understanding of where the idea comes from. And if
Mm.
you don't understand that, you think it's all the same value, but it's not. So anyway, I just thought I should kind of give you that context because it was pretty funny to me.
No, that's a very perfect example of that one-way communication. And also, why did it? I would have been so frustrated. Like you would have been more frustrated than relieved. I'd want to hear back. But I think
Exactly.
ultimately that example does speak to that, to how do we, back again to what we've been discussing all along, how do we bring that human authenticity? And I think back to leadership and burnouts and AI in leadership again, is how do we regain control of the work that we do, but also how do we regain control of the relationships we have with our teams and not allow AI to get ahead of us? How do we also appreciate the work that our team does, by increasing and introducing thinking time, in the things that we do? So I think just coming to an end, it's something that we can constantly just think about, especially moving into the new year. How is it that we are wanting as leaders to involve AI in the work that we do? But how also do we plan on working with AI as leaders? Is AI our assistant? Are they helping us lead? Is it helping us lead, or is it replacing our thinking and our responsibility, and ultimately just causing burnouts because it's taking away everything on a soft level? Because ultimately, leadership, like you said, is about that. It's about interaction, and it's about creating an environment where the human can actually pivot towards doing amazing things. So yeah,
Yep.
and that's the end of our segment for today. It's been a very short 20 minutes, but always very amazing. And thank you so much for your engagement.
Yeah. Nice. Nice. Thank you so much, Anele. That was amazing. Amazing. We've lost Anele, but again, thank you so much for another episode of MoloMolo Tech Talk. I'm Dr. PK. That was Anele. Amazing, amazing hosting of this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, guys, it was a pleasure. See you next time. Ciao.